Hey y'all, I'm back. I guess I should have adjusted myself and everything before I turned the camera on. But it is what it is. A few minutes ago, my camera was saying that it was getting too hot and it had shut down automatically, so that's why the video went off. Now I'm back home and I'm sitting here. I'm telling y'all, I wasn't really feeling motivated to go back live, but it's no big deal. I think I'm just really doing a video diary for once when I'm dead and gone, and for those who may have a concern or an interest, basically my children, they can go back and see me on video for whatever it's worth. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, I did approach a person in the store asking them would they sub up to my channel, and they didn't want to, which was no big problem, because that was a no, but I got a yes. So the clerk, I explained to him what it was I was wanting and what I needed, and he said that he would sub up to my channel. And what I wanted to do was like take the person's phone and go to my channel and sub up for them in their presence, or have them to sub up in my presence. But he said he didn't have his phone with him, so I trust him to do that. But I'll start doing that on my trips out, wherever I'm going. If I think about it, I'll ask the individuals, if they'll sub to my channel, because I really want the ability to be able to go live from my YouTube as well. I think that I might be able to generate a little bit better following if I get to YouTube. I mean, that's just my belief. I don't necessarily have to be, but it's my belief that I probably would. Because I have 2 channels on Facebook, and they kind of like, but again, it's like I said, people just won't help for whatever reason. Now this next thing that I'm going to say is going to sound like I'm really beating up on us black folks, but I'm only speaking from my experience, and I really believe it's the truth. Black folks is the hardest people to come together and support anybody or support people. We just a nasty race of people. I won't say we, I want to include me, because I'm not from the same mold. Trust me, I'm not from the same mold. And I can only speak from experience, and my experience has always proven to be what the truth is the norm. Black folks on a whole, they're the most small-minded, jealous-hearted, envious, nasty somethings that could ever be. They always want you to help them, but they don't want to never turn around and help you. Now, that's just the bottom line. And a lot of my successes have always stemmed from other ethnic groups being supportive of me, not necessarily my own ethnicity, because they just ain't gonna do it. Just ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna read my little disclaimer, because I'm not savvy enough on this technology to have my little information scrolling on the screen. Now if I go to the desktop, I don't know. Right now I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and if that's good, it's good. If it ain't good enough, then I guess I'll be handled. But I'm going to read my little disclaimer. Materials reviewed, and this is only in the event that I discuss something outside of this live, then something that's personal or from first-hand experience or knowledge. But if I discuss or bring up a topic that is related to something I've seen on social media, or someone's other posting of something that they posted up, then I want to have the disclaimer in place. The materials reviewed or critiqued and are discussed has not been authorized by the copyright holder under the Fair Use Doctrine, Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Material is used for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, or education. So that's my little disclaimer. Now, I did write down some things that I perhaps may not have off the top of my head, and maybe that will get me started, get my juices started up so I can get to running this mouth. But some of the things that I have run across on this social media platform has really angered me. I said, you know what? I can see two things. Why God stressed that you save yourself and you be concerned with just yourself. Because when you look outside of yourself and you look around into the world and you see all of the disproportionate information it is out there about Jesus Christ, it can run you loony-toony. And plus it gives you an understanding of the mass, the huge operation of Satan and how he has managed to take God and just mumble him up and just mesh him up in a big old pile of minutia. And this is why God has said, you know, for you to seek him. I'm smiling, I'm laughing, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't step out of the bounds of where I'm supposed to be, because I don't know what would be said to me. I don't know if Gino would tell me shut my mouth. I got a feeling he probably would tell me to shut my mouth, and I know what I should be doing on a personal level, and that is, like I said, constantly seeking Jesus for myself, because I got to save my soul. But I'm just telling you guys that I can really see how Satan has really constructed this confusion and makes it just, I mean, impossible for you to have any inclination as to who the real Jesus is, or even how to find him, where he's at. And when you see what's floating around on this social media, if you truly, truly do love Jesus, you'll get angry at some of the stuff that you see. I've seen people who dealing in the tarot cards. People giving out blanket statements of what they call wisdom and knowledge, and it's really not that at all. Let me go back to what I was saying. I can see how people can be lost, because if you don't do what Jesus requested you to do in the scriptures, and that is seek him, you ain't gonna find him. You ain't gonna find him just willy-nilly, because it's too much out here to cast you into a stream going away from Jesus as far as you can go. Before I came on this live, I just saw a post by a associate that I know, and they posted up something from a church, and their comment was they really having church, they really getting it in. And I was thinking to myself, when I looked at the video, these people are doing nothing but dancing and singing. And you can dance a lot and sing a lot just as good as you can anything else. And I said, so this is what that person would deem as good church? Because you dancing and stomping around and singing? That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. That is not church. That is not, I don't know what's wrong with people. You know, I got to be careful when I say I don't know what's wrong with people, because I do know what's wrong with people too. It's just that I need to stay in my lane, mind my business, keep my mouth shut, keep my focus on myself, but I can't help but venture over into what I see other people doing, and I think to myself, boy, how stupid you are, or how stupid I once was. Because believe it or not, I perhaps was in the same position that these people were in that I'm looking at now. But I don't think I was ever as bad off as them. Because I've said it before, 1,000 times before, that I never was bought into the church's hook, line, and sinker, because I always sensed that there was something unequally yoked about these religions. My first hurdle that I could not seem to get over was, why are there so many different churches? I mean, basically it's common sense. But I would always ask myself as a young child, I've said it once, I said it 10 times, I always asked the question that if God intended for you to follow him, and he said there's only one way, then why are there so many different ways out here? Why are there so many different religions, denominations, so many different doctrines? Why? Because if I'll go to something simple as me. If I intended for you to find where I live, wouldn't it be understandable that I would give you clear, concise instructions how to get to me? If I wanted to make sure that you found me, wouldn't I give you clear, concise directions to my doorway? But if I were to be deceptive, which is what Satan is, and I wanted to keep you from finding me, then I would muddy up the pathway so you could never find me. I would tell you that I lived in this part of the country, where I didn't. I would say this about my current location, which is not true. I would put all types of false information into the battle so that you could not get to me. And that's what Satan has done. And I know I'm making sense. It's got to make sense, because if it makes sense to me, it should make sense to others out there that's got common sense. That if God intended for you to find him, and he said there's only one way to him, that he would not give you 1,001 religions. He would not give you 1,001 pathways to finding him. He said there's only one. There's only one way to him. And then it would be up to you to discern, to look for him, and then that way he can read your heart and know that if you was really truly seeking him, then he'll come in and he'll lead you to him. But other than that, you're gonna be on your best day so far from Jesus, you'll never find him. You'll never find him. Because in today's world, looking on this social media, I keep wanting to pick up a phone, but looking on this social media, for a person, an individual who does not know who Jesus is, man, the only thing I can say is it's like stepping onto a busy thoroughway, a busy freeway, and you got cars zooming this way, zooming that way, going backwards and forwards and every which way but loose. And you just standing in the midst, just looking from one to the next. And that's the way I look at this world, the way that Satan has muddied up the situation where you can't find Jesus. He got somebody speaking Jesus on their lips, and it's out of three possibilities when they speaking Jesus out of their lips. They speaking Jesus out of their lips because they are truly sincere and thinking that they're doing the right thing, but they have no true understanding or knowledge who God is, so that's a wrong pathway. The other one is they have taken on man's understanding of Jesus, and that's by going to these schools or coming up with their own thoughts of who Jesus is, and then they proceeding forth with that. And then the third way is Satan, who we know is Jesus Christ's arch enemy, and he wants to deceive you. And God already gave us a warning. He said that Satan is out here roaming about, seeing who he can devour, who he can destroy. So Satan is going to sprinkle a little bit of truth, a little bit of truth in with a bunch of lies, and feed it to you as Jesus. That's why you and I got to be very, very conscious enough that we cannot leave our understanding who Jesus is up to another individual. You out there in viewer land can't look at Paulette and say, well, you know what? I'm going to take everything that she tells me as the gospel, as the truth. No, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's designed to be. God said for you to look for him. That meant that he wants each one of us to take on ourselves, our responsibility of our own selves, to actively look for him. Because God already knew what the landscape was going to look like. He already knew what the enemies was going to be up to. He already knew what Satan's objective was. He already knew how Satan was going to deploy all of his methods. And it would be very hard for an individual to find Jesus, because Satan has covered up Jesus with so much crap. He's got someone over here speaking about Jesus with a little teeny tiny little bit of truth, and then a whole lot of misconception and lies, and so the individual thinks, well, this is the way to go. Then he's got people over here who are earnestly thinking they're doing good, but they're wrong. They're going on their own feelings and their own thoughts, and you can't do that with God. You can't. God has a set program, if you want to call it that. He has a set pattern for you to find him, and he's already set that way up. He first put it on you to look for him, to have the sincerity in your heart to want to look for him. And then once you are truly trying to find Jesus, then he will step in and help guide you to him. And that way, it can keep you from being deceived from anybody just talking and spouting, anybody that's got Jesus on their lips. That goes for me and anybody else, because that's the way I do. When I'm listening to hear Jesus. And when I hear an individual talking, I can tell you within 30 seconds if they have really found the true Jesus, or if they're just out here willy-nilly and lost in the valley. If they're just lost. And I can tell you, 90% of the people out here speaking about Jesus, they lost. They lost. They haven't a clue. They all are serving and worshiping a phony Jesus. And I've done a poem, I've done a tape and everything else, trying to reach people and make them understand this is not no game. This is not something to be light and airy with. This is a serious situation we're in. We only have a set limited time on this planet Earth before God calls us home. He don't care if you are saved, unsaved, religious, atheist. You could be the biggest sinner on planet Earth. Your days is numbered. Our days are set forth and numbered. And we're going to be out of here. And God has given us that set number of days to do what it is we need to do. And that is find him. That's the number one objective in life. And that's to find Jesus. Find the authentic, true Jesus. Because this one that 90% of the people out here hanging on, he ain't the one. And folks get mad at you. They get really mad when you say that their way is not the way. And they think that you're making the analysis. They think that you're making the assumption that their way is not the way out of a hateful motive. And it's not. It's because God has given you the ability to see and ability to hear who he is and recognize his voice. It makes sense to me. If you're able to recognize his voice, then when somebody is speaking Jesus, you're going to know if they're speaking about the Jesus that's in the Bible, or if this is some Jesus that they have perhaps made up, or some Jesus that's not straight. He's got a little twist, a little bend in him. And I'm telling you, a lot of the Jesuses that I hear 90% of these people talking about on this social media, that Jesus is bent and twisted. He's bent to the left, he's bent to the right, he's bent every which way except standing straight and tall and narrow. It's not the real authentic Jesus. And you got people that want to argue and fight about the scriptures when the scriptures is self-evident. God is speaking and telling you from the scripture that he wrote them and those words are inspired by him. But you got a lot of people, they don't care about what the scriptures say. They're going to fight you tooth and nail. Well, that's not what it means. And I look at it like this: if you were smart enough, if we were smart enough to figure the Bible out, then it would be pointless to have the Bible. It would be pointless to even have it. It would be pointless for God to raise up a man to teach the word of his word. It would be pointless. Because if the Bible were that easy for an individual to pick up and to discern what the information that lies within that Bible, what it truly means, would be no need for there to be a prophet. There'd be no need for one. Because everybody could just discern who Jesus was simply under their own ability. And that's not true. And I can tell you that because when I first started my journey out, finding out who Jesus was, or when I was looking for Jesus, some 15, 20 years ago, whenever I started off looking for Jesus, I promise you, I started off in a direction which was truly not the way of Jesus, but it was the pathway that I started. And because God could read my heart and he knew that inside I was truly and earnestly seeking him, he came in and he redirected my pathway and he took me to him. And once he opened up my eyes, now I'm able to see and I'm able to hear and understand what it is that Jesus is saying to us in those holy scriptures, because he supplied me with a teacher. And the teacher is not deviating to the left nor the right, but staying dead center of that Bible and giving you full understanding and clarification of what it is that God intended for us to know. And another way that you can know that you are on the right path, I would think another way for you to know is that Jesus is not easy. I'm telling you, I've seen some content creators on here. I say this is why you need to mind your own business and don't ever comment on somebody else's page. I don't. But I hear this foolishness coming out of people's mouths and I be saying to myself, you an idiot. You run around here with fingernail polish. Now this going to sound like, this is going to be just what it is. You run around here with fingernail polish on, lipstick, jewelry, got your hair 99,000 colors, shaking your big rump, thinking you something cute with your old dried up has-been self, cursing every time you turn around, talking about men and sex and courting and all of this stuff, and then on the next breath you're talking about Jesus. Go somewhere and sit down, because you got the wrong Jesus. I can't understand people, because as much as I grovel with some of the things that the scriptures say, I have issues myself, but I can't fight against something that is the truth. So when people actively fight against, well, Jesus don't mind. How you gonna speak for Jesus? Jesus don't mind if you wear makeup. Jesus don't mind if you gamble. He know you a sinner. Jesus don't mind if you got fingernails. Come on, Jesus don't mix with all that mess. That's what people need to get under their belt and understand. You cannot take Jesus. You can't. I can't. Nobody else can. You can't take Jesus and mix him. You can't mix him with this stuff in this world and then say it's all right and he's going to be accepting of it, because he's not. He's truly not. And so you can get mad all you want to. I can get mad all I want to. I can speak of the sin that I indulge in, that I find it to be relaxing and entertaining and is fun and whatever. But I can't get mad because Jesus don't stand for it, and I can't be adding it to the list and say, well, you know, Jesus knows that I'm trying to serve him, so, you know, he's understanding. He might see that I'm trying to serve him, but he sees something else too, that I'm not fully submissive in my spirit to him. You ain't fixing to take Jesus and add him somewhere. This one content creator, and I'm so glad because I ain't even called it no names, because like I said, y'all ain't getting me involved in no battle or the back and forth. But this person be talking about Jesus drank wine. I'm like, you see how lies get started. Where in the Bible you gonna find that Jesus drank some wine? Where? But that's just what you want to think, and that's what you want to say, because you indulge in being a wine bibber. You indulge in taking a little nip every now and then. But Jesus wasn't no wine drinker. But see, you get people who got little to no information about who Jesus is, and they often running with a lie. And then they spreading that lie. And that lie gets spread from one person to the next, and that's how everybody comes up with this fake phony Jesus. This fake phony Jesus that don't mind you looking like Jezebel a hoe, even though the scriptures tell you plain and clear that you can't be doing that. You can't be wearing your painted up face and red lips and all this stuff, but you want to argue with that. You can't be clad down in jewelry, but you want to argue with that. You want to make exclusions to the clause. That ain't what God meant. That ain't how that was meant. What's the point of the Bible if you're going to argue with everything that it has written in it? And then the idiots that jump up and holler, well, you know, the Bible was written by men. Them, if I had the ability, I'd slap their teeth, clean out their mouth. They wouldn't have to wait for time to empty their mouth like it is doing me. I would empty it for them. I'd slap their teeth, clean out their mouth. Because anybody that was wise enough that could write a book that encompasses life the way that Bible does, I want to meet them. And that's Jesus. Ain't no man got the ability to write what those scriptures have in it. Ain't no way, no how. And to write the things in that scripture that man is to abide by. What man is going to sit up and write up some stringent rules that he has to adhere to in order to be saved? I don't think nobody would. Because I fight myself. I sit up sometime and I just let my brain go to thinking. I'm like, boy, if only this condition hadn't been, we wouldn't have to face death, and we wouldn't have to face the day coming of being judged. But it's not the reality. The reality is those things that transpired in our history of mankind has truly happened, and because of those things, we got to go through what we got to go through. But what we can be thankful for is that Jesus gave us an out, and that is by coming here and putting his life down for us. He gave us an escape route, a way to escape what the outcome is going to be once we quit breathing. Yeah, when I get on this social media, some days I feel like, you know, just turning off the phone and never turning it on again. But I do turn it on, but I am very mindful of where I navigate and where I go to. And that's why I'm so worried and confused about the grandbabies and the younger people, because I know that today we got to worry about unsupervised children with these phones in their hands. And this can be far more dangerous than when I was a child. because now children can go places that they have no business going, and seeing and hearing things they have no business hearing. And today, it's hard to go anywhere without hearing somebody cussing. I don't know what makes people think they old nasty, filthy mouth. Somebody want to sit down and listen to that all the time, hear you cussing. Like this, I can't say this one content creator, because this is almost 90% of the content creators. All this cussing. You got to cuss in order to be understood, to be heard. You got to cuss to impress somebody. You got to use these old filthy words. I've been scrolling and heard some things coming out of people's mouths, and I promise you, it felt like my ears was burning. Felt like my ears was burning. And I'm looking at them and saying to myself, what makes you think this makes you so impressionable? Why do you think this is so cute? You can see an attractive girl or an attractive young man, and then when they open their mouth, out come all these old foul words. Just a moron. Just stupid. You're just reflecting of what your intelligence level is. That's what you're doing. And you're showing your need to be accepted. You're showing your assimilation process. You're assimilating with the world. You think to be accepted, you got to spew out all these old curse words. And I ain't talking about just young people. I'm talking about some old ones. I've seen some old ones. In fact, there's been a couple of old ones. They've passed and gone their way. And I ain't fixing to make judgment on nobody, because like I said, I got to worry about my own self. But these was the cussinest people I've seen in my life. And I would be sitting there looking at them and thinking they were the cussing, because they gone now. But they were just cussing, and some of the most foul words coming out of their mouth. And now, don't get me wrong, I've been a fan of cursing back in my day, and I slip sometime occasionally now. But I'm knowing that that's not a good thing to do. Cursing is just not a good thing to do. But I looked at these people cussing, and I looked at the gray hair popping out of their head, and I saw the condition of some of them. Some of them was so old they couldn't get up and move around, and they cussing and going on, and it looked like they had pretty good sense. And I was sitting up saying to myself, man, I don't think I'd want to be doing that. And looking that close down at the grave, you know, the grave is staring you in the face, and there you are, just cussing like a blue-faced sailor. Woo. But yeah, I've run across people on here, my little notes say they doing witchy stuff. That's a big thing now. You got people that's confessing to be witches. Today in 2025, you got all kind of stuff on Front Street. There is no shame in nobody's game. Even the celebrities are coming out. You know, they're exposing themselves. They letting you know straight up front who they serve and who they worshiping. Some of the filth that they have presented to the public, you have no way of leaving any questions or any doubts in your mind who it is that they talking about and who they serving, and y'all still be paying attention to them old people. But yeah, you got people on this social media platform, they making money all right. They getting the numbers, because they doing stuff that I would never want to do, and that is discussing witchcraft stuff, tarot card reading. I even ran across a woman. She scared me. I hurried up and flipped through her page, but she had what you call like some divining rods. She had some divining rods. Now you know they got what they call divining rods for people would find water. I don't know how true that is, but I know when I was a kid, I've seen it in my lifetime. Seen it brought up, seen it put on display. But a man would be walking out in a barren place with look like two sticks in his hand. And he'd be holding on to the sticks and walking. And then them sticks would be doing like this here. And if you get close to some water, then I think the sticks drop down. I don't know. But this girl, that was on Facebook. Was it Facebook or YouTube or TikTok, whatever? But she was sitting up there with two metal things, look like metal clothes hangers. Do y'all know what a metal clothes hanger look like? Because I know today they probably have moved away from the metal clothes hanger, and you got the plastic and all that. But it looked like pieces of clothes hanger, and she was holding on to look like the stem of it. And she would ask the question. She would ask the question, and then them two metal things, they would move like this way for yes or no, and this way for yes or no or something. I said, ooh. I said, let me get off. Let me get off of this helper's page. I said, because she doing something that's really, really scary. But you got people out here doing this stuff, and they don't, some of them don't even know that what they doing is totally against God. It's totally against what he told us to do. And then I said, well, I can give testimony to having some experiences of what I felt like was not of this world, that was righteous, that was evil. I know many years ago, let's see, I think I had just the 2 children at the time, and I was going to school. I was pursuing my bachelor's degree, and I was staying on the campus housing. At that time, they had housing for families, and you could stay in the housing for family with your children. It was like an apartment. And I was laying there in the bed, and I don't know, I often have thought about, wonder why I had that experience, and I tried to come up with the answer. But I was laying in my bed one night, and back at that time, the TV, I would go to sleep with my television on, and at that time, the television would sign off like 12 o'clock or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. The TV would sign off. There would be nothing else on television. It would just go off. But if you didn't turn it off, it would just go into a grainy blue format, and it would just be a blue light cast out into your room or your area, wherever you were sleeping. And that's the way I would go to bed. You know, I turned my TV on, and then I would lay down in bed with, at that time, my oldest child, and go to sleep. And the TV would just be left on until I wake up the next day. Well, this particular night, I went to sleep, and I was laying there in the bed, and I was awakened. I was awakened by the feeling of having something in the presence of me. And then when I opened my eyes, I felt I was truly awake. But I was laying in the bed. I was laying in the bed on my stomach, resting on my hands like this, and my face was turned to the right of me. And my then child, the only child I had, was laying there to the right. He slept in the bed with me. And I was laying in the bed like this. And I felt the presence in that room. And whatever that presence was, it was more than one. And the reason I knew it was more than one was because I felt the actual hands of one hand grabbed one ankle, and the other hand grabbed the other ankle, and then I felt the 2 hands. One grabbed the wrist of this hand, and one grabbed the wrist of this hand, and had me pinned to the bed. Now, I'm telling you the truth. And I thought, my eyes was open, and I could feel this, and I could see the room. It had a blue hue to it, and I could look over and see my oldest child laying there in the bed. And then the third presence I knew was in that room. I felt the pressure of my legs being pinned to the bed by my ankles, and my hands being pinned to the bed. And then I felt the third hand swipe across my buttocks. And when that happened, honey, I couldn't say nothing, but I just started instantly saying, Jesus, 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 Jesus. And when I said Jesus so much mentally in my head, everything released me. I jumped up out of that bed, honey, and I ran through that apartment. I'm like, what in the world do you have in this apartment that could have created what happened to you in that room. So I went looking in my house to try to investigate. Did I have any objects in there that recently just came into the house? And then suddenly I thought about a friend. But that was one incident. There was 1, 2, 3. There was 3 incidents that happened in that apartment. And I think it was after the second or the third incident, I finally decided in my brain that what probably was happening to me was I had a friend at that time. And at that time, she so crazy about trying to have a man. That's why I tell you, some people are sick. She had this old boyfriend, and of course he wasn't doing right. And so she was doing all kind of stuff trying to keep him. And the reason I know she was doing all kind of stuff, it wasn't like she was telling me, but I came to her place, her apartment one time, and I saw some things in place, and I asked her, I said, what is you doing? And I think I was probably about, I might have not even been 30. I don't know if I was even 30. But I asked her, I said, what are you doing? Because she had her apartment set up so weird. When I went in, it was pitch dark in there for one thing, even in the daytime. Because what she had done was blacked out all her windows. And then she was burning candles. And when I asked her, I said, what is you doing? And she laughed because that was her personality. She snickered because she knew that I wasn't going to go for that. And I said, girl, what is you doing? And she went to laugh. She was like, honey, I'm trying to keep so-and-so. And I looked at her and I said, girl, what you doing? I said, you conjuring up spirits. I said, you better leave this mess alone. Well, I didn't think nothing about it because, like I said, I was in my 30s, but I knew it was something I would never do. So when I had that experience in my apartment, that particular night where I felt like something had hit me to my bed, and I knew that something was 3-something, it had to be 3-something, or it had to be something with 6 hands, 7 hands, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands, because you had to have 2 hands to hold my feet down, 2 to hold my hands down, and then something brushed across my behind. So that was at least 5 hands. So the only thing I could come up with after the third incident happened was that it was her. She would come out there and spend the night with me sometime in my apartment. And I said to myself, I believe this girl done brought some demons in my house. She done brought some bad spirits in my house. I truly believe that. Because the next thing that happened was I'm laying in my bed asleep. And when she would come and spend the night with me, sometimes we would engage in activities and be up all night laughing and talking and going on. And at the time I only had one kid. And then when we would retire to go to bed, sometimes it would be the break of dawn. So I was in a 3-bedroom apartment at that time. And so I had my bedroom, which my child slept in the bedroom with me. And then I let her sleep in his room. And then the 3rd bedroom, I had used it as like a little den area. I had it set up where I could sit in there and use it like a den. So she was asleep, be sleeping in his room. And so this time, it was early morning. The sun was coming up. And we had been up all night. So we decided we were going to go and go to sleep. And she went in the bedroom to go to bed. And I got in my bed to go to sleep. And when I got in the bed, my headboard, it was close to the wall. So there was no way for something to come down at your head like this. Because my head, with the headboard was so close to my head, it would prevent anything from hitting me in the head. Coming from this position. Let me get the camera right. If I'm laying down, couldn't nothing hit me this way because my head was right up against the headboard so that nothing could hit me like this. But as we lay down in that bed to go to sleep, honey, I had no sooner closed my eyes when I felt something say, and it hit me right in the top of the top of the head. I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing then. I'm like, what in the world was that? And I jumped up out of the bed because it scared me. And I flew to the hallway where I was standing at the doorway where she was sleeping. And I said, girl, I said, something just slapped me in the top of my head. And I'm confused and I'm thinking then, what could that have been? Because I'm laying down and ain't no way, I know no way something could hit me from the top of my head. Because I'm laying down. And my head, the headboard was above my head, so there was no way for something to slap me with the force that it did from the position, the way my head was laying. It felt like I was just sitting straight up and something slapped me like that. It made an audible sound. I could hear a sound. Slapped my head. Well, that was incident number 2. Incident number 3, I was in the kitchen washing my dishes. And at the time, my eldest child was about 4 or 5 years old. No, there was 4 incidents that happened in that apartment. So this was the 3rd one. So now, the brushing behind my buttocks and pinning me to the bed, that was number 1. Number 2 was whatever it was slapped me in the top of my head. That was number 2. I'm fixing to tell you about number 3, and then I'll tell you about 4. The 3rd incident that happened in that apartment was I was in my kitchen washing dishes. And at that time, my eldest child, which was the only child I had then, probably about 4 years old, they were walking down the hallway, coming toward the kitchen. And when he got to the kitchen, the way the apartment was set up, the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen, they were all one space. And he was coming from a hallway which led from the 3 bedrooms and the bathrooms, and he was coming from that direction into that open space, and the kitchen was to his left, and that's why I was standing washing dishes. And when he got to the point in the living space where he could look over and see me washing dishes at the sink, my then 4-year-old screamed with panic and hollered and went into a crazy fit. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And he said, I thought you was in that room. He said, and you in here. And I went to question him further, and I said, what you mean you thought I was in this room? He said, I thought you was in that room. He was pointing at the area I was using for a den. He said, I saw you in that room. And in that room, I had a black chair, like a Chase lounge. And so I walked him back down the hallway, because I'm really confused. Why is this child panicking, screaming, and hollering like this? And I'm trying to calm him down. And then I'm trying to question him too. What did you see? And that's when he told me. He took me back down the hallway, and he pointed into that area that I was using for a den at that Chase lounge. And he said, I saw you laying in that Chase lounge. And he said, you were smiling at me. And he said, when I came up here and saw you in the kitchen, he said, it scared me. Well, honey, I didn't call my child no lie, because I said he was only about 4 years old, and a 4-year-old ain't gonna make up no lie like that. And his imagination, he wasn't a child that just tend to come up with imaginative, creative kind of stuff. So I knew he was telling me the truth, and it scared me. So I really, really started investigating my house. I said, you got anything in here that could be harboring spirits or somebody that did something with? And at that time I had a friend, she used to love to read Stephen King books, novels. And when she would finish reading whatever she had, she would give them to me and see if I wanted to read them. Well, I did have some of those books in my house. I took them books when he told me of that incident, and I threw them out of my house, honey, in the dumpster. But when the 4th thing happened, that's when I knew for sure. I said, that friend, because she was doing stuff that she was doing in her apartment, and then coming to my apartment, visiting me, I think for a fact, I feel that she was bringing that stuff into my house. But the 4th incident, I was in my bed asleep, and my eldest at that time, the only child I had, he would get up in the mornings a lot of times before me, and he would sit on the edge of the bed at the foot and watch television until I woke up. And this particular morning when I woke up, it wasn't long after I had lost the two aunties, my daddy's two sisters, and they were really crazy about my oldest child. At that time, the only child I had. So when I woke up, my oldest said to me, "Mama," I said, "What?" He said, "I saw Aunt Alice." I said, "Boy, you ain't seen Aunt Alice," because I knew she was dead, and I knew he knew she was dead too. And he said, He said, "I seen her." I said, "Where'd you see her?" He said, "She was sitting here on the bed." I said, "Sitting where?" And he pointed to the foot of the bed where he was seated, and he said right next to him. I said, "Well, what did she say?" He said, "She didn't do nothing. She just smiled." So that's when I told the friend, I almost said the friend's name. I told her, I said, "Girl, you can't come to my apartment no more." I said, "Because of the foolishness that you're doing in your house," I said, "you bringing bad spirits around me." And I said, "I can't have that." And honey, I got busy and prayed my apartment down. I walked that apartment down, and I was going through every room praying, just praying. That's all I was simply doing, praying. "Lord, deliver me, get whatever is here out, empty this out." Because I knew that I had done nothing that would bring that type of mess around me. And the only thing that I could come up with was I had this friend that was doing this stupidity stuff. She was doing this stupid stuff trying to keep this man. And I had seen for myself with my own eyes what she was doing, because when I would go, like I said, when I went to her apartment this one time and I seen what she had in place, I said, "Girl, you working with spirits and going on." I said, "You better stop all that mess." So that's what I did. I ceased to bring her around my apartment. I said, I said, "Because you doing something that's bringing bad spirits to me." So I believe that they can have an influence in your life. And maybe at another time I'll tell of another situation, or maybe I should go on and tell it now while I'm on the topic. But yeah, I believe that the spirits can definitely do that. And if you messing with them, and like I said, these people on this social platform, they doing all kind of mess. They in the witchcraft, they in the voodoo, and a lot of them entertainers, they do the same thing. They off into that mess. I can't think of her name now. And if I think of her name, I'm going to write it down, because it comes to me from time to time. But I think you can probably still go on YouTube and find her where she is actually cleaning up a mess where she had been doing this spirit stuff, trying to boost her Hollywood thing. Can't think of that gal's name, but I saw it, and her name keep on. I think her name, because you might yourself can go on YouTube and just put in there. I don't know what you would put in there. Cleaning up chicken blood or something out of a closet. That's what she was doing, and then you would find it. And these people something else. But no, I don't believe in doing none of that horoscope mess, none of that tarot card reading, and I have history with that, because back in the day when I was young, I fooled with that stuff. To see, when you become wise as to who God is, and you are honestly seeking Jesus, and your understanding comes open, now you see why God admonishes you in the scripture to stay far away from that kind of stuff and not to deal with that, because it does have reality to it. It does, I would say it does work, and I don't want it to work around me. I want to work with the Holy Spirit. That's what I want. I don't want this other mess. So I'm telling you that on this social media, You got to be careful, because Satan is, it's like he done went insane. He got everything going on this social platform, and that's why people are just doing everything. I think people have lost their mind because they think it's a free for all, and you just do whatever you feel like doing. But that ain't what God means. God means for you to follow Him, and He's telling you to adhere to His way and His understanding, not these 1,000 other ways that Satan done set up for you to go, not these 1,000 other religions that you are professing to be, not these 1,000 other doctrines that you are gravitating to and holding fast to as truth. That's not true. And to me, it looks like it would be easy for you to see and understand if it goes against Jesus. That's why I can't understand women that are fighting so hard with the things that they do, and they want to say that they still Christians are following Jesus, when Jesus wouldn't do none of that. He wouldn't take part of that. He wouldn't be a participant of that. He wouldn't be accepting of it. And how are you going to address the scriptures when the scriptures speak against a certain situation or certain something? How are you going to embrace that he's speaking against? That's because people don't want the straight and the narrow. They want the slightly bent, the slightly twisted way of looking at Jesus, because that way they can have their cake and eat it too. They can have the Jesus that fits their mold. Well, I can be 80% right and still be with Jesus. I can do this much and enjoy this side of the fence and still be a part of Jesus. And that's not the way it works. That's never going to be the way it works. Never, ever. Never, ever. You're never, ever going to be able to get drunk, sleep, lay around, gamble, smoke, cuss, fight, kill, murder, savage. And even if you're not sinful to that degree, but just the smallest amount of sin, it's never going to mix with Jesus. Jesus ain't going to never sit for it. He's not going to ever make no allowance for it. And so I don't care how many times you say it, or how many ways that you say it, or how many times you hear somebody else say it, or how many other people that you see going in this direction. None of it is going to ever make it right. Because the Bible tells you there's only one God and there's only one way. So if there's only one God and there's only one way, and the way that you're talking about doesn't fit with the one that lines up in the scripture, then you got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. And here I am at the close of my life. I'm at the tail end. I'm at age 75. And who better than me would want to have an easy peasy way of accepting that I was a Christian and knowing that I was going to be with Jesus, when I stress and fret every day, all day long, and asking God, please don't take me and my last breath before I get this right. Because that's what God has given us. He's given us this time that we living and breathing to take this opportunity to do what He said. That's look for Him. Number one, you got to look for Him. And when you look for Him, now you got to be praying and asking that He come in and do something for you. And what that come in, do something for you is open your eyes and your understanding. Why? So you're able to understand, and you're able to see and hear the authentic Jesus. And I put the word authentic before Jesus because, like I have said 1,000 times before, there are so many Jesuses out here, and they're not the right one. And 9 times out of 10, you fools is gravitating to the Jesus that's not the authentic Jesus. And why are you gravitating to the one that's not the authentic Jesus? Because he's half-stepping. That Jesus makes it easy for you to get in heaven, so you think. That Jesus makes the Christ walk easy, so you think. But I'm telling you, the hardest thing you will ever do in this world while you are breathing air, the hardest thing you will ever do is walk it like Christ. That's going to be a journey that's hard. And trust me, I know, because I'm trying to walk it. And I fall daily, and sometimes all day falling. It's a struggle just to keep your mental faculties in line. When you got Satan fighting you 24/7, I mean, he's sitting on your shoulders just whispering as many times as often as he can all kind of lies. Maybe this and maybe that, and why this and why that, and then he's coming and attacking you body-wise, physically, mentally, emotionally. Then he's coming at you through your friends who ain't your friends. He's coming at you through your children who's finding their way, struggling. He's coming at you from the world. He's coming at you with this one who got good intentions, but they wrong. So, I mean, you know, Satan is a formidable adversary, and he's slick. And a lot of people shortchange him. A lot of people want to talk smack. I walk on Satan's head. And when God told us clear in the scriptures, you better leave Satan alone. You ain't walking on his head. You ain't doing nothing to him. You ain't doing nothing to him. He's the father, the ancient of old. And he done been at this for a long, long time. So he's a master at his game. And he's very, very proficient in keeping you off key. And that's why we got to walk it, talk it, pray 24/7. We got to keep our brains on Jesus. We got to keep our hearts and our minds stayed on Jesus, so that we can even stay straight for the 24-hour period of time. But we're not less than 24 hours. The devil have come at me. Sometimes I'm sitting up and you have a thought come in your brain and you're like, well, where did that come from? Because I ain't even trying to go there. I ain't even thinking about that. That's the devil. He's always putting something there. I done gone to sleep. You think you safe when you sleep. No, you ain't. You in a vulnerable state then. I have gone to sleep and woke up mad. I'm like, why be darn? God tell you this. He'll tell you in the scriptures, Satan attack you in your sleep. He's brought thoughts in my head when I'm sleeping. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So I sometimes get frustrated, and I want to say to God, God, how can we protect ourselves when we sleep? But when you listen to a lot of people who think that they're speaking for Jesus, they want you to think it's a cakewalk. They want you to think it's easy. All you got to do is just confess with your mouth that you believe in Jesus, and then, you know, you saved and everything is all good. Now you just resume to your old lifestyle. You just going back to smoking cigarettes, but I believe in Jesus. You going back to cussing, but I believe in Jesus. You just going back to going to the dope house or to the gambling house. Oh, but I believe in Jesus. And you think you're going to be saved. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. I tell you, I ain't no preacher. I ain't no elder. I ain't no bishop. I ain't no prophetess. I ain't nobody special. I'm a clump of dirt sitting up here waiting on God's timing for my life to snatch the breath out of my nose. But you better hear what I'm telling you as far as wisdom's sake. This phony Jesus that everybody talking about, these phony religions that everybody is talking about, being a Baptist, being a Methodist, being an Episcopal, this, being a Seventh-day Adventist, being a Mormon, being a Jehovah's Witness, being a Hebrew Israelite, being a Catholic, baby, I'm telling you, if it don't make sense to you, maybe the devil got you and gonna keep you, and you ain't gonna never understand, because I keep saying that too over and over and over. A lot of you don't want to believe it, but it's in the scriptures, and whatever God's saying in the scriptures, Paul, let us believe it, and I understand it to believe. It says what it said. God didn't mean take this to the bank, take this to the bank. He didn't mean for everybody to hear him. He didn't mean for everybody to find him. And if you think I'm gonna explain, I am. I'm gonna explain to what I get from it, what I understand. Number one, everybody ain't gonna look for him. Number two, everybody don't want to find him, ain't trying to look for him. So you got your lazy, sorry, no goods that ain't gonna look for him. Then you got your willfully on purpose ain't gonna look for him. Them willfully on purpose ain't gonna look for him. Them the ones that are serving their father Satan. They are active enemies of God. And they don't want to find God. They want to live the life that Satan has structured for them. And that power is in place. You know, when Paulette is always telling you, I know stuff that you don't know. It's a lot of stuff I know that you don't know. Just on the world stage. It's biblically connected, but it's on the world stage. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this world right now, as we speak, that Satan orchestrated, that Satan ordained, that Satan structured, that Satan put into place. And it was meant to be that way. Now don't get me to lying and coming up with, you know, stuff out of my brain, because I'm putting two and two together the way that God has fitted together, and I got an understanding of how it all plays out, how it all works. That's why we got to be diligent in keeping our eye gates protected and our ear gates protected, and we can't just listen to any old Joe Blow spouting out from his mouth that he's talking about Jesus. And that's why it's important that you got to know who the authentic Jesus is, so that when you hear somebody presenting to you a Jesus, you'll know if that Jesus they presenting to you is the real Jesus or it's the phony Jesus. It's the Jesus they done made up. And I'm telling you, on this social media, I keep on looking for another phone. I got another phone, 2 or 3 other phones. But I'm telling you, on this social media, there's a whole lot of fake Jesus. There's a whole lot of people that's perpetrating fraud, and they perpetrating fraud willfully, meaning they know that they lying, and then there are a lot of them who don't know they lying. They think they doing what's right, but they not. They're not. And so it's left up to you. It's left up to you to be able to discern whether or not who you listening to is speaking of the real Jesus, or he's got that, or they got that phony Jesus. I'm telling you. And the reason why y'all don't be seeing me a lot on this social media, because I be fighting with Satan. I be fighting with him in my head. I be like, Paulette, instead of you jumping your funky behind on that Facebook, running your mouth, you need to be in here seeking Jesus for the Holy Spirit. You need to be in here on your rusty knees praying and asking God for the Holy Spirit to come in so I can speak in tongues. And that way, once I speak in tongues, then I can grab hold and stay whole till I draw this last breath. Because God lets you know, baby, to get in with him, you ain't finna get in with him with no 1 or 2 minutes of praying and 1 or 2 minutes of hallelujah. Baby, you ain't going, you're going to be in that group to say, get away from me, because I never knew you. But that's why I don't be coming on this platform a lot, because I'm like, first of all, I don't want to do something that's against God. And since I don't have a church home around me close enough, I ain't stupid. I got enough sense to know that I probably would be shut down by Gino or somebody else within the first church if I was perceived to be doing something that was against God, and that is being looked at as I'm trying to teach. But I ain't trying to teach. At least that's what I'm saying. I'm not teaching you nothing. I'm not teaching you nothing about the scriptures, even something that I may know. that I may feel reasonably comfortable in saying I know this to be a fact. I wouldn't feel comfortable in sharing with you, oh, this is 100% certainty, because I know that I could say something just the slightest bit off, and then I would be held accountable by God for leading somebody astray by telling them the smallest error, something wrong, and I don't want to do that. But when I look out into the world and I see people following what I know to be a false Jesus, I can't help but say, ooh, I've been moved to say, oh, you know what, you need to think about that again. You need to look again. Are you sure that you got the right Jesus? And then some people I look at and I get mad, I be like, why don't you shut up? Because you don't know what you're talking about. But yet they want to stand toe to toe. They want to stand 10 toes down on what they doing. And what they doing is so far from Jesus till it ain't no words. But they hell-bound in making you believe that they know what they talking about. They talking to Jesus. Jesus ain't talking to you, and you doing everything that's against what he's standing for or what he says. That'd be like me saying Jesus talking to me, and I'm taking my stank behind in places I know I shouldn't be going. I'm doing stuff that I know I shouldn't be doing. And if I know that my life is not 110% in accord with what Jesus expects and what he wants. That's why I say, listening to these content creators get on here, and the devil done deceive them, because, the devil does the same thing that God does. He's a great imitator. So when they raise these people up on these social platforms, a lot of them are doing what the world wants them to do. The powers that be, they want them to get on here and cuss and fight and expose their bodies and talk stupid and talk dumb about God. They want that, because that's all part of the game. If they talk and do what they doing, that'll keep you finding real Jesus. So a lot of these content creators, I believe once they get so high, get so elevated into the platform, I believe that the powers that's in control start having control over them. They start telling them what to do and what to say. Because I done seen a lot of stuff on this platform that I'm kind of questionable and thinking, nah, that don't sound right. Nah, that sound like a lie. Just here recently, a lot of you guys probably have heard of the Beatles. But this was some food for thought. The Beatles was a popular group back in the 60s. And I was a little bitty girl, I think, around about, I want to say maybe 10, 11 years old. I'm going to say 10 or 11. When I first laid eyes on the Beatles on television, and the girls were screaming and howling and crying, and they were singing, and they all had their hair cut alike, and they were shaking their old head. And I can hear the song now. Now I say I can hear the song now, but it's a satanic whatever. But I was listening to a content creator who you guys would say is a conspiracy theorist type of individual. But you say what you want to say. God says something different. But when they exposed that the Beatles were a planned group, listen to what I'm saying now. The powers that be, if you want to say the government or whatever, and let me read a little disclaimer. This is fair use, so anything that I'm saying, anything that I'm talking about that may encroach on materials that could be viewed as belonging to somebody else, I want to make it clear that I'm talking about this under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Material is used for the purpose such as criticism, commentary, or education. But it's been brought to my attention that the Beatles were like a planned group. The system, the powers that be, they orchestrated that group. They put them together, dressed them up, paid the girls to scream, holler, and cry, and put all this on film and present it to the world. And that way, when the world saw these people, because I never heard of the Beatles. They never was known anywhere other than when they made that grand appearance, the first time they hit the United States soil, and the women were screaming, howling, and crying. But see, I saw another similar situation that happened with them exposing the media. You know, that's when I stopped watching television, was because I finally woke up one day and said to myself, now listen to me, this is why I say I make sense, but just listen to me. How do you know what happened in my neighborhood if you weren't there? You're going to go by what it is I tell you that I saw. So your information is only going to be as good as me and what I told you. So I'm going to give an example. Say somebody came by my house and threw a dozen of eggs at my front door. And then I were to go out and tell the world, somebody came and threw a dozen of eggs at my front door. Well, if I wanted to embellish that lie, I could say they threw 12 bombs at my door and blew my house up. But because you weren't there and you couldn't see, you have to go just on what I told you. And if you just go on what I told you, then you have no choice but to believe what it is that I'm saying. This is what I'm saying to you about the television and this platform that we're sitting here talking on. You can only believe so much of it, and now it's getting to the place that when they put this AI in place, the AI can lie. I've seen stuff come on you where you have to look at it and say, is this AI or is this reality? Satan like that. But back to the boob tube, what I call a propaganda tube. If you don't know what's happening in California, because you ain't in California, you got to base what you know on what somebody done told you. What you think all these news places are? I've seen content creators show you how this whole thing is plugged in and how it works. And that's only one little cog in the wheel. When we talking about Satan and his deception, baby, it's mind-boggling. It's what they call falling down into a rabbit hole. The way Satan has got this whole situation set up, this world set up, he means for you to be confused and stay confused forever until you draw your last breath. And once you draw your last breath and you dead and gone and you ain't found the real Jesus, then Satan is the victor. He's won. But this world is built on lies. It's built on perceptions that are not real. That's why people refer to it as a matrix, because what you're seeing is not the reality of what it is. You're seeing what somebody wants you to see. So now we're going back to the propaganda box. Whatever goes on in California, it cannot be documented as pure truth because you weren't there. You're going to have to rely on what's being told to you. And so many times, I'm not saying 100% of the time, because even in my community, if something happens, if somebody jumps in my community with an AK-47 and blew away 40 or 50 people, and I actually seen that, that actually happened. But I got a spin for you on that too. That actually happened. So you can say that actually happened if I told you, well, I saw this person with the AK-47 do away with 40 or 50 people. That incident more than likely did happen. But here's the kicker to that. You don't know if the person who did the pow, if they were not trained and mind washed into doing. Man, I'm telling you, now my eyes itching. When you talk about falling and peeping into the rabbit hole, that's what you're doing when you are living in Satan's world. You're living in a rabbit hole, baby. You're living in a matrix. Nothing is real and nothing is what you think it is. And this is what I tell people when I try to tell them that you were born in the darkness. When you hear Gino talk about being born in the darkness, that's really a double situation. Not only are you truly born from a dark space into this world, but you're born spiritually into darkness too. Because if your family is not connected to the true God, then they can't give you the true God. So then you are out in this world. Follow me. And I know somebody out there, I don't care if it's just one of you, somebody out there got to be following me and saying, you know what, that old heifer making some sense. But when you are born and you're born into this world, into darkness, and you don't know who the real authentic Jesus is, and you grabbing and hanging on to these different Jesuses that's being given to you, and then you go off into your life and you are just spending your life with this fake phony Jesus, and you never knowing who the real Jesus is, you lost. And then you into a world that's a facade. I don't know who it was, the author. I think the quote is labeled as unknown author. But there's a quote that says, the whole world is a stage. And then I've heard people add on to that, the whole world is a stage. And you're just part of the acting crew. That's the truth. Satan has made this whole world a stage. And he's created all kind of scenarios to keep you locked up in darkness and misunderstanding who Jesus is. He meant for it to be that way. But he got a lot of you people out here diehards. I've seen a lot of people who were diehard Catholics, diehard Baptists, diehard Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't tell them they in the wrong pathway because they don't hear you. They don't feel like what you saying to them. I don't know. I think it's back to what Jesus said. Not everybody's gonna hear him. Not everybody gonna look for him. Cause heck, you got people out here that profess to not even believe in Jesus. And I really feel sorry for you. But this world is really 100% screwed up. And you can see how it got screwed up. Once God opened your eyes, once God opened your understanding, then you can see why everything is the way it is. Because I even see myself why it is some days I have a real struggle just to stay the tiniest bit positive. It's because I'm constantly fighting Satan. I'm constantly in a struggle with him. He's in a constant struggle with me for the control of my mind and the control of my thoughts. He's in constant struggle with me to present something in my pathway that will keep me from achieving what it is that I need to achieve for that particular time. And that is a closeness with Jesus, a better understanding, and a way to get myself connected to Jesus in the way that Jesus instructed us to do. And that is have the Holy Spirit fill you up, that now you're speaking in tongues. But when you see people that equate Jesus to something as simple and as stupid as somebody dancing around in a church and somebody singing a good church song, and you say that that's good church, you stupid. You blind and you stupid. Because that ain't church. Church ain't no feel good. I've put up posts before, and I've said this before, and I ain't changed my stance on it. This is the way I believe, and I'm going to continue to believe, because I know what I'm experiencing. Anytime you go to a church and you leave that church house and you feel good, you're in the wrong place. You in the wrong place. Because as much as you want to believe that Jesus means for you to feel good, I believe he means for you to feel good too. But you're going to do it by his standards, not yours. You're going to do it by his standards, not by yours. So if you go sit in a church house and you listen to some old loudmouth clown stand up there talking about something he don't understand and don't know, or you listen to some old Jezebel hoe standing up there looking like a plastered-eyed makeup face, I almost called her name. You gonna stand up here and listen to these liars? And they don't bit more have a clue who Jesus is. Because some days I just feel so alone because of my unique circumstance. My unique situation. I don't have a fellowship home. I don't have a camaraderie of fellow believers that's on the right pathway to Jesus. And then I've also been warned by the teacher, which is Gino, that even if you are in a setting where you have other fellow believers, those fellow believers can pull you off center too. Because see, we're all doing the same thing. Every last one of us is struggling and trying to achieve what it is that Jesus wants us to do. And every last one of us is under the same type of pressure and the same gun that our fellow man next to us is under. And that is the constant badgering of Satan. Satan is constantly whispering in our ears, constantly pulling on our flesh, constantly twisting the truth and spinning it, constantly giving you doubts and making you confused. But I see Satan everywhere. I see how he's operating, what he's doing, how he's doing it. Until the place now that I have identified Satan and know how he operates and know that this world is his. And I truly got that understanding. A lot of you guys don't have that. I got this understanding. This truly is Satan's world. Although God is the ultimate power and control, this that we're in, this little universe we're in, this belongs to Satan. He's the one that's got control over it. God, I'm talking with a double meaning, but I'm really not. For those of you that understand what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. God is the ultimate power. But he gave this earth to Satan. And although Satan don't have utterly complete 100% control, because God does, he's got enough control that all the stuff that's going on here within this space that we're in, this time, this interim that we're in, Satan is the author of it. He's in control of it. I gotta be careful because I don't want to get choked on this candy on live camera. Well, I had said oftentimes when I'm on the phone, usually when I'm talking to, it's only a couple of people that I've done it with 3 people. I get to talking to them, they don't get to say a word because I just be going and spewing off at the mouth. And then I apologize and say, I didn't mean to talk so much. And then I get off the phone with them and I be thinking, Paulette, you need to just settle down and get quiet. So that's what I'm doing on this social media. I'm talking, I'm running my mouth. A lot of y'all may say she talk too much. She thinks she know everything. No, I don't think I know everything. And yeah, maybe I do talk too much. And the reason I say I talk too much is because I know what I should be doing. I should be diverting all my attention and all my time on doing what I said. And that's beseeching God for the Holy Spirit. But see, when you have stuff around you that's a part of your life, it's hard. Because I'm still human. I'm still a grandmother. I'm still a mother. And so far to this day, I'm still a sister. So I do have things in my life that be pressing in on me, and then that's when I have to divvy up the stuff and look at it in the proper way that I should look at it. Paulette, ain't nothing you can do about your kids. Nothing. Ain't nothing you can do about your siblings. Nothing. Ain't nothing you can do about people that, and my space is really small now, because I don't let a lot of people into my space, but it's just that now I'm wrestling, I think, more so with, I have to just completely isolate myself away from everybody, I feel, in order to seek the Holy Spirit, because it's hard to sever the sibling stream. It's hard to sever the grandma stream. It's hard to sever the mother stream, because life is going to present you what life presents you, and then 9 times out of 10 you're going to respond in the way and the capacity that you would be perceived to respond in. Naturally, I'm going to be concerned about sibling issues. I'm going to have a heart for sibling issues. The same goes for children or grandkids. But then this is where I got to be selfish, and this is the part that I think I'm struggling with the most. I know that my days are not stretched out ahead of me. I don't have a whole lot of time. And what time I do have left, I need to be making that time count. I need to focus all of my energy on that one commandment he gave us in the scripture. He said, save yourself. Because the only person I can save is Paulette. I can't save you, no grandkids, no siblings, no friends. The only person I can save, the only person I'm expected to save is myself. And I've thought about that a lot of times. I'm like, well, like right now, I got things I'm confronted with, and I'm really struggling with coming to terms with learning how to just do just that. Just sit back and be still, because it's not anything that you can do. There's nothing in your power that you can do about nothing. I can't do nothing. And it has brought me a lot of peace when it comes to the world situation. Because I used to sit down, and the more I found out about the world and what was going on in the world and how things were going, I used to obsess and worry about it. You know, from time to time now, I think about certain things, and I go to thinking about it, and I'm like, Paulette, put that out of your mind. Why? Because there ain't nothing you can do about it. The only person that can do anything about the condition of this world is God. And we got to utilize that thought in our own lives. I said, right now, I got a brief little reprieve on my health situation. But you don't have too big of a stretch in between peace and a storm when you get my age. Because like I said, you can wake up at 8 o'clock and be feeling good, and by 8:15 you don't feel good. So while things are going reasonably smooth for me right now, the stents in my leg are operating the way that they should be operating. The other issues I got going on, they're kind of low-key. Let me focus on Jesus and getting that Holy Spirit, and not have my attention diverted over here to what's going on with my siblings. Because like I said, I can't do nothing about their situation. I can't do nothing. Don't worry about what situation you got going on with your children, because you can do nothing about that as well. And I'm already feeling the positiveness of learning how to just step back from those things I can't control. Because I had an incident where I was trying to tell my grandson, who's about 19 years old, I ain't going to be specific, but I was trying to tell him, do like old people did me when I was young. They talk and they tell you stuff, and you listen and you learn. But baby, this generation now, they talk too much. You try to tell them what it is that you want them to know, they're going to overtalk you, they're going to interject whatever you're saying, they're going to interrupt you, and they're going to frustrate you until, when we had this situation, this happened more than once, but the last time it occurred, I was trying to give him some old school wisdom, and he kept interrupting me and kept saying, yeah, but grandma this, yeah, but see, grandma so. I said, I can see how the devil, he's a good puppet master. He's a good one. Because I'm driving the car. I'll give y'all a little brief scenario. I'm driving the car, and he's in the back seat. The little bitty grandbaby, she in the front. So whatever was being discussed, we were talking about it, and he was saying something, and I'm sitting here thinking old school. I said, okay, let me tell him this. So I'm like, yeah, grandbaby, yeah, grandson, and so-and-so, 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 and him in the back seat. No, but see, grandma, so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay, I excused him. I let him say what he had to say. Then I started back where I was. And so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. But no, but see, yeah, grandma, but no, see, grandma, you don't understand. I got so mad. I'm talking, I don't want this candy spitting out of my mouth. I got so mad. I found myself cussing. I was listening to him, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to tell you something, and you trying to tell me something. I told him, I said, shut up. Shut your mouth. I said, how you going to tell me what I'm trying to tell you? How you going to set me straight on something? I'm the one 75. I love that 75. I'm the one been here for you. I'm the one done seen more life than you. I'm the one done been through more than what you've been through. You've been here a measly little 19 funky years. That ain't nothing. Shut your mouth. Because what I'm telling you could take you a long way. If I'm telling you nothing but something that you might encounter one day, and you be like, hey, grandma said that, or grandma said this, or grandma said you should take this route or do this way. I said, but you'll never know, because you back here running your mouth. I said, you know what? And I think I'm going to tell y'all this when I'm going to get off this platform. I told him, I said, I'm finna shut up. That's what I'm finna do. I ain't finna tell you nothing. I said, let life tell you whatever life gonna tell you. I said, cause this right here, this old broad, I said, I'm tired of arguing with you. I said, and this is the 19th time that we've had this encounter. You say something, and I think it's a teachable moment, and this is a time to expound on your knowledge and your wisdom, and to tell you what it is that I know to tell you, and then you're going to overtalk me, you're going to interrupt me, you're going to have something to say that you feel is better than what I'm telling you. You know what? Let life teach you, and I'm going to shut up, because my days is really going short, and I ain't got time to struggle with you. I'm supposed to be doing what God say for me to do, and that is, I should be a role model for you. I should be a leader and an instrumental in your life, but I see it's a struggle to get that with you, and I ain't finna sit up here and argue with you and get myself frustrated, get my blood pressure up, get my head tight and get to hurting, arguing with you. I said, because I ain't never seen nothing like it. Because when I came up as a kid, an older person talking to you, you shut up and you listen. And that was how you learn. But baby, not today. At least not from what I've seen. Even my little, she's 8 or 9-year-old grandbaby, she's not as bad. She won't do a whole lot of talking back at this particular time. But she does a lot of swelling up and puffing and getting mad and putting her hands over her ears. And you know what? I look at them and I be saying, don't get yourself bent out of shape. Let them niggas go on about their business. Let life show them. Let life teach them. Now, a lady was talking about it today in the store. Okay, since I got what I got wrong with me from smoking cigarettes, I be trying to tell people I don't do it no more. I do it. Sometimes I slip and do it. But I see somebody puffing a cigarette or buying one, I want to go and tell them, you know what? A day may come that you might regret having got that cigarette and smoked it, because I know it has been for me a big regret. But then when I think about it, I say, well, you know what, Paulette? You did have a few people try to tell you when you was young smoking was bad, but you kept on smoking. So why don't you just shut up? But sometimes you find it hard. You want to tell people, oh, if I was you, I wouldn't smoke because, you know, whatever's going on with you right now, and it's because you smoke cigarettes. But I'm becoming more and more of the mindset of leave people, leave them fools alone. Let them find out the hard way. Let them find out the way you found out. Because I got stents in my leg and I don't have good circulation to my feet, I did that to myself. Being a fool, thinking I was cute and smart, smoking. And when that doctor told me that I got cancer in my blood and she said it came from smoking cigarettes, I did that to myself. And what people don't think about is the day that comes when you are no longer able to do what you're doing when you're young. When you're younger and you can walk and breathe without puffing and puffing and puffing, and you ain't got no pain nowhere. You ain't thinking about the day where your body gonna pay for all the stuff that you done. See, your caliber of life when you get old is gonna be based on how you treated it when you was young. But I'm getting to the point, the way I think now, I ain't telling nobody nothing. Let them find out for themselves. Their situation might be worse than mine. Let them sit up there with all that gold in their mouth and find out that gold will rot in their teeth and they're going to need them teeth to chew on. Thank God my 75 years, I lost my teeth because of just normal loss. I had one tooth I lost to a gold. But no, the devil ain't going to tell you putting that gold on your teeth, you're going to one day lose your teeth. Putting that gold on your teeth, your breath going to smell like dog doo-doo. The devil ain't going to tell you that because he wants them coins and he wants you to go ahead and follow suit with what the rest of the world is doing. Them rappers with their mouth full of that gold. They ain't telling you, but them rappers are smarter than you. They got more money than you with your dumb self. You getting crap in your mouth that you can't remove. They getting the kind that you can snap in and snap out. Well, Paulette gonna get off here now. I think I done gave y'all enough for me today. And if those of you that enjoy my little mouth running and want to see me again, go to my YouTube page and sub. Because like I said, you ain't got to stay on there. You can sub and go on about your business. But I'm going to get busy. It'll be just like in high school. When I'm out moving around now, I'm going to go up and approach people and see if I can't solicit them to signing up to my page so I can get that magic number where I can go live from YouTube just like I'm doing from Facebook. But I got some things going on in my life. I keep saying this, but this is why I say I'm not concerned or worried about it. I can do more in the way of some giveaways or this or that and the other. But right now I got a lot of stuff going on. And I can't tell you because it ain't really none of my business. Because you know if it was me and it was connected to me, I'd probably mess around and tell you. But I got a lot of serious stuff going on right now within my family unit. and it's kind of stressful and it's worrying me. So I ain't worried about doing nothing on this social platform with what I'm doing. And now I'm looking and I'm seeing who's on here. Hi, Vernon. How you doing? And I hope that you checking in and talking with somebody, because like I said, I can't tell people's business, but this family is dwindling down over here. I'm starting to feel like the nursery rhyme, 10 little, 9 little, 8 little Indians, 7 little, 6 little, 5 little Indians. So, you know, people getting sick, people got health issues going on, and you're not promised tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So right now, you're part of the family down here on this end. We in bad way. We in bad way. And like I said, I'm not going to tell on the social platform what it is. If you inbox me, I'm subject to tell you. I'm not subject. I will tell you because you are a family member. But I'll tell you what's going on. But it's not good news at all. It's not good news at all. And see what Paulette is trying to do. My life ain't good news. I mean, it's good news. I'm still breathing. But I got health issues too. And I'm trying to enjoy the span of time that I got now. Right now, I'm not hospitalized. Right now, I don't have nothing that's really pressing in, bothering me. So I'm trying to take a breath. But it seems like the devil don't want you to breathe. So he keeps something pressing in on you all the time to keep your joy from being there. And that's what's going on now. I'm not happy at all about what this family is having to endure. But it's nothing I can do about it. So I hope that life is going good for you. I want you to not be stressed as best as you can. I want you to do as I'm trying to do, and that is, you can hear other people's situation and their problems, but don't take it to heart. Don't take it to bed with you. Don't try to solve something that you don't have the ability to solve. Even with our own selves, I talk to God all the time. I say, God, when it's something that I can't do anything about, then let me accept that. Let me accept the fact I can't do nothing about nothing, so let me find some peace in that. Some peace in the fact that whatever's going on is going on. And it's nothing Paulette can do. And that's what I struggle with. 9 times out of 10, that's what I struggle with. I'm always thinking, because I worry about something. I can't do nothing about nothing. I can't stop one situation from happening. I can't heal nobody. I can't change nothing. All I can do is pray and ask God to be with us all. That's all I can do. Pray and ask God to be with us all. And trust me, nobody knows better than I know what it used to be sick and to be feeling bad. And now I know what Mama meant when she used to say all the time, you better do 2 things. You either better hurry up and get well or hurry up and die. Because the world don't stop for you because you sick. The world don't stop for you because you don't feel good. It keeps on going. And so that's what's going on now. People are sick and they're going through situations that they really got no control over, and neither do I. And I'm trying my best to keep myself from worrying to death about it. Because I worry, and I know that it's nothing I can do. And I got something else going on that I'm probably not going to mention, because I get mad when people mention it to me. I don't want to bring it up unless I bring it up. And then again, I may just go ahead and say it because I had thought about it. But I don't know where my baby son is. He left from here June the 8th of 2024. And June the 8th of 2025, I've not heard one single word from him. So you just think about that as a mother, having to sit up and not know where your child is. And I filed a missing persons report on him, and I've left it at that. And what I do, some people may not agree with my process, but in order for me to just deal with the fact that I don't know where he is, I count him as dead. And that way I can release my brain. Maybe that's not the way you would handle it. Maybe that's not the way this person would handle it. Maybe it's not the way this person would handle it. But it's the way that I choose to handle it. I say to myself, he's he's no longer with us. And that doesn't necessarily be the truth. He might still be with us. But as a mother, that's what I say to myself in order to get by. He is no longer with us. Because I'm 75. I don't have a whole lot of time. It don't take a rocket scientist to know that I don't have a whole lot of time left on earth. I don't know how long I do have. I don't know if I'll be so blessed to see the numbers that a couple of my aunties are seeing. Because one is 98 and one I think is 92 or 93. So I don't know if God will bless me to see them numbers. But I don't intend to have those numbers and me worried about another individual. I can't do nothing about it. I can't do nothing about it. Nothing. All I can do is concern myself with me. And I know how it felt to be in that hospital and you receive no visits, barely get a call, and you in pain, or you're afraid, you're in fear. I mean, I could go on and I could talk forever. Maybe I'll come back on late at night when my brain is really moving. But Paulette done been through. I'm staring up now into the ceiling because I want to get off here and quit talking. But I done been through, honey. And I was telling my daughter, I'm praying hard to keep God from making my heart hard and making me turn to a stone toward people, because people can be so uncaring, unsympathetic, and just horrible to you. And you walk around and you say to yourself, well, what did I do to deserve this type of treatment? Or what did I do to deserve this lack of empathy? Or what did I do to deserve the appearance that nobody really cares about you or what happens to you? And then I go to thinking, hey girl, don't you worry about it. The only person you should be concerned about is Jesus. Because at the end of the day, he's the only one going to walk with you from this journey, this pathway, over into the next realm, whatever that is. Whether it be hell or heaven, he's going to be the one walk me through this pathway on over. And I can't sit here and nurse the thought about what people do, because people will disappoint you and let you down every time. Trust me. If you never hear another word I say, you trust me what I tell you. People will let you down in a heartbeat. And when you think that you got somebody there that's covering your back, and you look back there and see ain't nobody back there, honey. And this is what your cousin done experienced for 75 years I've been living. I swear that I believe somebody in my past must have been worshiping Satan. Somebody in my past must have been a witch or a warlock. Because I be thinking, as much stumbling blocks as I've had placed in my presence, somebody had to be doing something wicked and evil. Because I flat out refuse to believe that what comes up on me is coming up on me because I'm such a bad person. I'm not a bad person. Never have been. But I have the misfortune of being born into the situation I'm born into, and I don't understand people. And it's like I had to wait until this late age of my life to start waking up and saying, the same way so-and-so do you, you do them the same way. I'm not fixing to sit here and worry about you, and you wasn't worried about me. When I had the breast cancer, I looked around, I didn't see nobody at my door seeing if I was all right when they took my breast off. As far as my memory go, the only person that was there was my mama, my daughter, and at that time a friend from Florida. But other than that, the people that knew me, nobody wasn't saying nothing to me. Nobody didn't have no words of encouragement for me. Nobody didn't come there and help change no bandages. Nobody, nothing, you know. And in fact, it is what it is. I'm really getting into the place where I'm talking and saying too much now, but there have been times that even that little brief conversation would have brought me to tears, but I ain't crying no more because I'm getting stronger. I'm getting to the point where I see and understand. Everybody lost, baby. They lost. And they doing stuff. And they doing stuff and don't even know that they being the way that they being. Everybody is selfish. Everybody is inward. Everybody, they got no, I don't know, concern or love for one another. And that's probably where I struggle, because I know that I do show empathy, and I know that I do try to help where I can see myself helping. And then to see others kick dirt in your face, it can make you feel bad. Now, my grandbaby, the little girl, right now, she lived and breathed her grandma. You know, we were talking on the phone just yesterday, and when we hung up, she called back really immediately. And my daughter was on the phone. I'm like, why did y'all call back? And she said, that's because Nala said that she thought you was crying out in pain, and she wanted to call back and see if you was all right. And that kind of touched my heart, because I'm thinking, well, when I move now, when I get up and move around, I do a lot of grunting. You know, that's that old thing. But a lot of it is reality. I can't get up without saying, oh, you know, if you sit too long, or you sit in a bad spot, twisted some kind of way. So she heard that on the phone, and because she heard me moan, she wanted her mother to call me straight away, straight back, and ask me, Grandma, you all right? Because you sounded like you was hurting. So that made me feel good. But when you get to bigger people, and the ones like I said, I need to shut it down, because I mean, I'm really struggling. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling here. And I'm thinking of the passage that Jesus said, who is my mother, who is my father? You know, who are these people except the ones who are serving Christ? So when I look around me and I feel like I'm alone, that's what I be saying to myself, you know, you people ain't really nothing to me, because who's to me is who I need to be seeking out, and that's Jesus. Because at the last minute, when I'm drawing my last breath, y'all may not be around, but Jesus will be. Yep, and Jesus, he'll speak to you sometimes through people too. And I know that I saw a situation on this platform that had me thinking, how let you bless? Because, like I said, there's somebody somewhere in this world, Lord, we need Jesus, that's got it worse than me. I may think I have it bad, but if somebody somewhere got it worse than me, and if somebody somewhere got it worse than either one of my siblings that's going on right now, if somebody got it worse than them, but they're going on with life. So this is the way it is. So I'm fixing to get off of here. I might be 2 hours. I'm going to save this to the phone, then I'm going to upload it to my YouTube. And like I said, my YouTube channel is going to get live and frisky, because I'm going to start soliciting people to go to my page and like it, so that I can get the numbers I need so I can go live. And like I said, you ain't got to even watch me. You ain't even got to turn the notification on. But just give me the opportunity to get the numbers that I need so that I can go live. And then after I see what YouTube does, let me answer that. You know, I might grow on YouTube, because I think YouTube is a whole lot different from Facebook. In other words, my chances are on Facebook is 0, because too many people know me. So therefore, they're not going to share nothing. They're not going to like nothing. So like I said, I have gone and presented my page on YouTube, on my page, Paulette Scott, at least 3 or 4 times, and nobody's responded. Nobody's liked nothing. And here it is, I go on people's pages all the time and like. Sub. I'm subbed so many times on YouTube, it ain't funny. I done forgot a lot of people's names because I subbed and forgot them. And time has gone on. So, you know, it is what it is. And then sometimes I do think about them or remember their name, and I go back and look and see their numbers that went from 400, 500, they got a couple of thousand, got 4 or 5,000, whatever. But I will never get out of that genre because I ain't been pushing past what I need to grow. So I'm gonna get busy on that. I'm gonna try to push myself out of a stagnant hole. By when I move around, I'm gonna get people, just strange people on the street, to sign up to my YouTube page. And that's funny. That's how life has been for me always. When I lived in Tampa, Florida, I used to go and pay to be set up at these big conferences. Wherever some big thing was functioning, I would pay my money. At the time, I told you I had copyrighted one book, really. I've copyrighted one book, but I had 2 that I was selling. And then I used to make children's games, and I would go to these conferences. Somewhere around this house, I got a picture, one picture I can show you guys what I'm talking about. And I would go to these conferences and set up my booth. And then when people would come out on breaks and whatever, they would come past each person's station, and whatever it was that you had offering up that you were selling, they would make a purchase. I noticed how black folks was then. Niggas is terrible, honey. They come up and talk and run their mouth trying to see what you got going on, but they wouldn't want to buy nothing. So it would take usually the white person or some other ethnicity that would support you. So that's what I'm looking at with the YouTube. I bet y'all get my numbers. And it'll be all white people. I like you white people, because y'all know how to do. You support people. But black folks, and I must not be 100% black, because I ain't never operated that way. I ain't never been that way. I help, irregardless of what you selling. You could be selling cow manure, and I'll buy a patch of cow manure one time, if nothing else, but to show you that I'm offering you support. But honey, it don't work that way. When it comes turnaround, it don't work that way. Because I got family members who are on the platform, and I've subbed up to them. But you think they subbed up to me? But I ain't mad, because I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get it. I'll be out of that hole. I'll be able to soar and get whatever I'm gonna get to. So I wish this thing had a way of telling us how long we done been on here, but I think I done been on here long enough. So I'm going to get off, and I'm going to come back. I keep saying that, then I just be wind up lying. When I get off, I don't never come back. When I think about coming back, I'm like, I ain't coming back. Because that's the way I feel about you people. I really do. When I say you people, I really do like to mean a separation, you people. Because I look at 90% of y'all as stupid fools. I'm just going to be truthful. Those of you who know me, family members love me, I don't mean no harm. I love people. I love everybody. But I look at y'all as stupid fools. You can't think, you don't see the bottom line, and you don't understand. And you think it's all a game, and you want to sit back and say, she thinks she know everything. No, I'm trying to tell you what it is I done found out and what I know, and you best be trying to find out the same thing and ask God to wake you up so you can see, or otherwise, when you die and you frying on the other side, you're going to wish then. Same for me. I'm going to be wishing too if I don't get it right before I draw my last breath. But God ain't no play. He ain't no plaything. He ain't no joke. He ain't no toy. So you ain't going to no church and sit up there and listen to somebody flap their jaws about a Jesus, and when you walk out of there, ooh, that sermon, that was good. He was good. Girl, what you finna do? And all that. But then you was in the wrong spot. Because trust me, when you get through listening to Gino, Jesus, what can I do? Because I don't want, and especially when you find out about hell, I don't want no hell. And God telling you, this is why I say common sense. Common sense. Jesus said it's one way. So what in the world is you doing with all these other ways? He said one way. What is you doing with all these other ways? He said one way. And you ain't, I wouldn't be talking and saying so much as what I'm saying if I didn't have a strong conviction in what I'm saying. You ain't going to find nowhere in that Bible. You ain't going to find nowhere, not one word, Baptist, Episcopal, Presbyterian, Methodist, Jehovah, you ain't gonna find it. Not one time. He said one way. That's holy. God is holy. One doctrine. Not all these different doctrines. One Jesus. One. It's one Jesus. And the one Jesus, he ain't teetotaling no line where he's doing this today and that tomorrow, and he's accepting this and he's accepting that. No. No. Jesus is a straight pole, straight and narrow pole. You're going to either be on the line with him or you're going to be in hell. Ain't no ifs and ands and buts about it. Ain't no sidestepping. Ain't no side entrance to Jesus. Ain't no halfway to Jesus. Ain't no wearing pants today and going to heaven tomorrow. Ain't no me, talking to me, going to no casino today and going to heaven tomorrow. No, that's not going to happen. Ain't no putting on no false eyelashes and I'm all of a sudden I'm with Jesus. Jesus ain't for that crap. He don't mix. That's what people need to understand. Jesus don't mix with none of this stuff in the world. Man, I tell you, to me it's simple. It's like simple. 1 is 1 and 1 and 1 equals 2. It's just simple. Whatever the world is doing, you don't want to be doing it. Whatever the world is doing, you don't want to be doing it. But if you're doing anything that the world is doing, you're not following Jesus. So when this one person said, put up a video and the people are dancing, they doing the Holy Ghost, and they singing, and then they put a caption up, amen, this is getting it. You stupid. That ain't getting it because you dancing around and singing a good church song. That ain't getting nothing. You need to find out who Jesus is. Telling you, more than one Jesus. You better make sure you got the right one. And I'm fixing to get out here. And I'll come back if I feel like it. If I come back, y'all show up. That's the grandbaby. She calling me. So y'all be blessed. Open your Bible, ask Jesus for an understanding. And I'll come back if I feel like it.